Hello Booktube, it's Marilyn Maya, the baby boomer booktuber, and today I have what I'm reading and what I've read. This month has been a difficult one, and September didn't go as planned. I don't know if you remember my former beginning of my videos where there was a dog in a boxer dog in the ocean, and that was my daughter's boxer. He was 12 and a half and he passed away. So it's been a very difficult September, to say the least. My daughter is really broken up about it, and so are we, because he lived with us for 3.5 years. So I didn't really get to do what I had planned to do for September. I was going to do the Sapphic September and the Shake-tember, and I'll tell you later why I didn't get to that one. And there was another one that I forgot, but it was also, I also wanted to do Tudor-tember, but I didn't mention it the last time, but the book didn't come from the library. So please bear with me in what I did read, because I think I was reading out of comfort as well. The first book I completed was one that I really enjoyed. I'm giving it 4.5 stars. And that's the Nakano Thrift Shop by Hiromi Kawakami. And it's a translated Japanese book, and the translator is Allison Markin Powell. And I really loved this book. It's very true to life, and yet it might seem a little strange if you have never been to Japan or don't know too much about Japanese culture. One thing I loved was it has a table of contents with chapter titles, and each of the chapter titles is something that's in the thrift store. So the story as it is Hitomi gets a job at this thrift shop run by a very, I would say weird, but he's a very complex character. He's like cheating on his wife with like 2 other women, and he's very eccentric, let's put it that way. In fact, all the characters in this book might seem eccentric to you. So Hitomi gets a job, that's how it starts, in the thrift shop. And another boy that's in the thrift shop, his name is Takeo, and he's very socially awkward. In fact, Margaret Pinard, who also read the book, said it's about the most socially awkward people that she's ever read a book by. And that would be the 2 main characters, but there's other characters in the book, and they're really shown so well, and all about different things that are in the author. She weaves the story of many characters around different things that are in the thrift shop, and I really, really enjoyed it. The only reason I took off a 0.5 star was because of the ending that I thought could have been maybe tied up a little more, even though it's not that kind of book. It's a character-driven book, very much a character-driven book, but it will tell you a lot about Japan, and I might talk about this more at the end of the month, but I recommend it highly. The next book I finished is a new book. Can you imagine? I actually did a new book. And it was a book that Sean the Book Maniac, he showed it on his LitHub video, which I will link down in the description, as well as my, I think I had a reaction video to it, but I'm not sure. But if I do, I'll have it down in the description box. And it's called Morningside Heights by Joshua Henkin. I happened to see this author, Joshua Henkin, and there's a picture in back of the book. He is a writing professor at Brooklyn College, which I attended for one semester back in the 70s. And he looks really good, but I think he's like 57, which is, I guess, is still young. And but I thought he was younger. And he explains, his writing style. The cover is wonderful. It's about a college professor who gets early onset Alzheimer's, and that part is like the main theme of the book. But it starts with him meeting his wife-to-be, who was a student when he met her. Her name is Prue, and he doesn't tell her right away that he has a son, and the son is going to pop up in the book. I was very surprised to read this book because of how much he wanted to do in this book so fast. In fact, that he mentioned this in the article that I read about the video that I watched, saying that the person who was interviewing him said how fast-paced the book was, and they said it was wonderful. We got to the first 50 pages, they met, they married, they did so much, they moved. I didn't think that was a positive part of the book, personally. I thought this was too fast-paced, that he tried to do too much in the book. And I'll say I gave it 3.5 stars. There was a lot of sadness in the book, and the way the characters react to his early onset Alzheimer's. There was a lot of heartbreaking moments, a lot of, subtlety. Maybe there was too much subtlety in this book for me, I don't know. But I just thought it was trying to do too much in one book, and the pace was off for me. So that's Morningside Heights. The next book I read, I mostly read, was Prairie Fires. And this is a new book, I think. The American Dreams of Laura Ingalls Wilder by Caroline Fraser. It's a chunkster. And what it says, this is the large print edition as well. So that's why I was able to get through most of it. And when I say most of it, I skimmed through certain parts, but I read about 80% of the book. And it says, millions of devoted readers believe they know Laura Ingalls, the pioneer girl who survived blizzards and near starvation on the Great Plains, went on to write the famous autobiographical books. But the full saga of her life had never been told. Now, Caroline Fraser, editor of the Library of America's Little House series, masterfully fills in the gaps. For all the hardships Wilder's books describe, her life was harder and grittier. With fresh insights and new discoveries, Prairie Fires reveals the complex woman whose classic stories grip us to this day. A lot of this was very like you said, gripping. What I found most interesting about this book was the one daughter that she had and their relationship, and how the daughter was going to Paris in the 1920s and meeting all these famous authors, and how she had a continual mother-daughter struggle. To me, that was the most interesting part of the book. And I recommend this. I can't really give it stars because this is a book for people who are really, really interested in Laura Ingalls Wilder. And though I'm interested, I'm not a super fan. But if you are, this is really the book for you. It's easy to read, and it'll bring you back to the TV series a little bit, with Michael Landon a little bit, though he was nothing like, her father was nothing like the Charles Ingalls that was portrayed by Michael Landon. Anyway, this is Prairie Fires. Now to the books I'm in the process of reading, and like I said, I was about to read I Am a Woman by Anne Bennett, and I didn't get to that yet. And also, I was going to read a Shakespeare book, play, Othello, but I just couldn't handle the, how big it was. So then I started reading The Merchant of Venice, and then I got to the first, and I remembered that one of the characters in this book is Shylock, the Jewish moneylender, and this comes with a lot of prejudice against Jews in this book, because it's not true that that Jewish moneylenders wanted a pound of flesh. I remembered it, and I said, no, this is not for me, at least not for now. So I don't know if I'm going to get to read Shakespeare this month, but I hope I will. Okay, then I started Swimming Home by Deborah Levy. I know some people say her name is Deborah, but I have a daughter, and we call her name is Deborah. So I don't know, I guess it's the way you want to say it. This was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize of 2012, and it's called Swimming Home, a novel. And I started reading this, and I first thought it wasn't for me. She's a poet, and what it said in the back was elusive, elliptical, disturbing, funny, and always acute. So the beginning of this book, which I read already, shows an English rental place that a lot of people will meet. And when they get there, a naked woman is in the pool. They think she's dead. They thought she was dead. And she gets up, she's naked, and of course we're introduced to a lot of characters. And there's a lot, they say, that's not said. A lot of emotions that aren't said. So as he arrives with his family at the villa, it was a villa, not a country house, in the hills above Nice, Joe sees a body in the swimming pool, but the girl is very much alive. She is Kitty Finch, a self-proclaimed botanist with green-painted fingernails, walking naked out of the water and into the heart of their holiday. Why is she there? What does she want from them all? And why does Joe's enigmatic wife allow her to remain? A subversively brilliant study of love. Swimming Home reveals how the most devastating secrets are the ones we keep from ourselves. And I have to say that I'm liking the writing very much. And she's she has staged plays by the Royal Shakespeare Company. Her work has been staged. And she's very prolific. She writes plays, fiction, and poetry. And dramatizations of two of Freud's most iconic case histories, Dom and the Wolfman, the author of highly praised novels including Beautiful Mutants, Swallowing Geography, and Billy and Girl. I have to say I've never read anything by her. So I guess I can put this for Shorty September if I finish it, but it's short, and I think I'm going to like it. The next book I'm having a little trouble with is I Want You to Know We're Still Here, a post-Holocaust memoir by Eshter Safran Foer. And it's about her parents who survived, obviously, the Holocaust. But what I don't like about it is she talks about her children a lot, at least in the beginning. Her son is Jonathan Safran Foer, and he wrote the book, which I didn't read, books Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, and Everything is Illuminated, which I think are, and she says, are fictionalized accounts of their real story, and she's going to tell their real story. But still, she does mention them a lot, and she has another son who wrote other books that are, I don't know if I wrote them down, but yeah, he wrote something about Einstein. So she does come from a very prolific author family. So the whole premise of this book is that she has a half-sister that she never knew about, and she goes to extremely, she goes trying to find the sister and does a lot, and I haven't got into that part yet, but it's kind of slow going for me, but maybe it'll pick up for me. I'm also having problems with Stargazey by Martha Grimes, which is a Richard Jury novel, and it was going really well, and then, you know, stuff happens, and I want to get back to it, but I think I talked about it before. It's Richard Jury follows this woman on a double-decker bus in London, and he doesn't know why he's following her, and she turns up dead. So that's all I've read so far. And I like Martha Grimes. I used to read a lot of her, so I hope I get to it. For subgenre mid-year mystery madness, I was going to start Wilkie Collins. I did start it. The Woman in White, which is sensational, which is the subgenre of the mystery, sensational novels. And I have to say that I'm going to keep it for Victober because I only got a few pages in. But I'm excited about reading this, and I think I'll get to the end of this. A lot of people have told me that they started but stopped. But I'm going to really try it. I'm going to put some more Victober books in. For the last book that I'm reading, I'm having a really interesting time with Jenny Colgan, The Bookshop on the Shore. And I wrote some notes down. The premise of the book is that a girl named Zoe, a young woman named Zoe, desperate to escape London. She's a single mother. Her ex-boyfriend is a South Asian Indian guy who sort of leaves her in the lurch. She's living in a very ugly bed sit, and it started out really well, and I'm reading it. Her writing is wonderful, but I have a question for people who love Jenny Colgan. This is what, okay, so it starts out, like I said, she finally connects with his sister, who connects her to go to Scotland. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention an important part. Her son has selective mutism, so he's 4 years old and he hasn't talked yet. So off they go to Scotland, and then it turns into, very suddenly, it turned into a Ruth Ware Turn of the Key book. I'm not kidding you. It went from being she goes to Scotland with her son, and it's going to be nice, and into a spooky house, and a daughter almost similar to the daughter. I'm not saying that she's plagiarizing or anything like that, but it's very much like the daughter in Turn of the Key. And all right, so I said okay. Then all of a sudden it's Dear Reader. I don't know if you know what Dear Reader is, but that's when you just stop and she's talking about somebody, and she says, okay, readers, this is something that happened to me in real life. So on with the story. I was flummoxed. I really was. I mean, maybe people like that. And she's such a wonderful writer. I said, okay, I'm going to go along with the story. Then all of a sudden, this kind of, her name is Zoe, and she, like I said, she's been beaten down, and then she turns into Mary Poppins. So that's where I am now. So for people, but she's such a good writer that I'm continuing because I want to know what happens, and I've never read a book like this before. It's a cozy literary story, is how it's proposed to be. But it's I don't know what's going to happen next. You know, maybe it'll turn into a Jane Austen novel. But in fact, in the beginning of the book, she writes a letter to her readers, which I thought was different, but I'm okay with it. But I'm reading it, so she's doing something right. But like I said, if you've read this book, please tell me what's going on. I want to know. Okay, so that's what I'm reading for now. Hopefully by the end of September, things will have settled down a little bit in my life, in my home. And I don't know if I told you, but I also have 2 elderly dogs of my own, Havanese. And we've been having some health problems with them too. So I'm doing the best I can in the situation that I'm in. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and press the notification button. I'm sure that I will be in better form for Victober. I'm praying for that. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you in my next video. Aloha.